Hello, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Collins from second grade with our second grade team here, and we're going to read Chapter 8, Night Owls. Humphrey, we worked our fingers to the bone to win you for the night. That's what Miranda told me as she carried my cage to the robin's nest the next night. Her golden hair glistened in the moonlight, but I couldn't see her bony fingers because it was so dark outside. I was also distracted by someone asking, "Who, who, who," over and over. "It's me, Humphrey," I finally squeaked back. Then the someone asked, "Who," again. We dusted and swept. Lindsay wanted to wash the windows, but we didn't have a bucket. Miranda continued, "We were determined to have you here tonight." Instead, the robin's nest was clean as could be. "Stop giggling, Gail," was there along with Miranda and some girls I didn't know. They all crowded around my cage, squealing with delight. "He's so cute," the girl called Lindsay. The robins weren't there long, though. Miss Mack came in and said, "Time for our first campfire, ladies." The girls seemed very excited, but Miranda had a question. "Shouldn't we take Humphrey?"
Miss Mack thought for a few seconds. Maybe not, Miranda. It might be a little hot and scary for him. Miranda seemed to understand, and the girls raced out of the cabin, leaving me to wonder why anyone would go to a fire. Weren't fires hot and dangerous things that humans and hamsters should avoid? Yet I knew that Miss Mack wouldn't let my friends do anything truly dangerous. I could smell the faint aroma of smoke in the distance. I jiggled my lock that doesn't lock to make sure I'd be able to get out in case of danger. And I remembered when a firefighter came to room 26 and told us if our clothes, even fur coats, caught on fire, we should stop, drop, and roll. But soon the girls were back, smelling just a little smoky. Whatever the campfire had been about, they'd certainly enjoyed it. "Poor Humphrey," Miranda said. "I'm sorry you didn't get to go. You need to get out sometimes." She took out my hamster ball. "Watch this," she told her friends. She carefully placed me inside, gently set the ball on the floor, and there I was, free to roll around the cabin. I hadn't been in my hamster ball in a while, so it took time to get used to everything being yellow again from the yellow plastic, and it took a little longer for me to remember how to spin around corners and change directions. Every turn I took seemed to amuse the girls. "Oh, if only Heidi could see you," Gail said at one point. She plopped down on her bunk and pulled out
a notebook from under her pillow. "I'm going to write her about everything you did." Heidi was Gail's best friend in room 26. The teacher always called her Raise Your Hand Heidi Hopper, and by the end of the year she did remember to raise her hand most of the time. She wasn't here at camp, but I noticed that Gail certainly brought up her name a lot. A little later, while the other robins followed me around, I glanced up and saw Gail staring down at her notebook with tears in her eyes. Was she sad because Heidi wasn't here at camp? I managed to roll the ball right up to her bunk, hoping to get her mind off of home. "Oh, Humphrey, you're so funny." Gail reached down to pick up the ball. "When I finish writing Heidi, I'll write my mom and dad and tell them you're here." Okay, so my idea didn't work. Later, after Miss Mack checked in to make sure the lights were out, it was finally quiet in the robin's nest, but it wasn't dark for long. There was an eerie light coming from Gail's bottom bunk. "Hey, what are you doing down there?" Miranda asked in a sleepy voice. "Just finishing my letter home," Gail answered. I could see that the light was coming from the teeny tiny flashlight. "Lights out," Miranda said in a firm voice. "We can't afford to get in trouble. We want to spend the night in Haunted Hollow."
"Okay," Gail answered. I thought I heard a little sniffling, but the light went out. After the sniffling stopped, it was quiet again, and I relaxed in my sleeping hut. A little later, I heard an even more disturbing sound again. "Hoo, hoo, hoo, hoo." It was coming from outside the cabin, and the voice was strange and mysterious. "Hoo, hoo, hoo, hoo." I was tempted to say, "Me, me, me," but I managed to keep quiet. I heard one of the girls roll over on her bed. Whoo, 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 the voice called again. The girl got up and went to the open window. For Pete's sake, be quiet, you old hooty owl. She clapped loudly, and it was quiet again. Thanks, Kayla, Miranda said. No problem, Kayla answered. Even though I didn't hear hoo hoo again, I heard other words rolling around in my brain. Hooty owl? That morning in the Nature Center, Katie had talked about owls. They were strange creatures of the night who liked to prey on very small, furry creatures. Gulp, like me. Slithering snakes, skittering, scratching sounds, haunting, howling, and hooting. The wonders of nature were starting to get on my nerves.
When I lived in room 26, I spent weeknights in the classroom and each weekend. I went home with a different student. But at Camp Happy Hollow, I slept in a different cabin every night of the week, and so did Og. But the two of us never ended up in the same cabin. The night after I slept in the robin's nest, I ended up staying with the bobwhites. They had taken to imitating the bird they were named for, and liked to get in a group and shout, Bob White, Bob White. My old friend Garth was in the cabin as well as AJ's brother, Ty, who was only a year younger. It was funny, but AJ and Garth were best friends, and now Ty and Garth were hanging out together. Then there was Noah. It was a good name for him because he seemed to know a lot, at least about nature. I wish they let us sleep outside, he said, looking out the window. Ouch! Mosquitoes! Garth swatted an imaginary insect. I'll take the cabin. I'll bet there are caves out there, Noah said. I'd sure love to see some bats. Vampire bats? Garth asked in a shaky voice. Ooh, the other boys said. I shivered. I'd learned a little bit about bats in school, and I'd seen a vampire movie at Kirk's house once. So I knew that a vampire bat was something I never, ever, ever wanted to see. Not around here, Noah explained. Just regular bats.
They won't hurt you. They're good for the environment. The only bat I want to see is a baseball bat, a boy named Sam said. Me too, I squeaked. I went to see the howler, Ty added. Of course, all the bobwhites went, "Ow!" Like the robins and the blue jays, the bobwhites spent a lot of time talking about winning the Clash of the Cabins and spending the night in Haunted Hollow. Unlike the other groups, the bobwhites were pretty sure they'd win because of Sam. Super Sam was what they called him, as in, you could see him canoeing, super, or did you see him pitch today, wasn't he super? Apparently everything Sam did was super, and he excelled in horseback riding, swimming, diving, softball, volleyball, and tennis. I was happy for the bobwhites to have such a super, outstanding camper in their group. But it got a little tiring after a while, especially when Garth said, "Turn out the lights, Sam Super." But the next morning, as Garth carried me to the Nature Center, I understood why he was so glad to have Sam around. "You know I'm not very good at sports and things," he said. "No matter how hard I try, my legs just don't go as fast as the other boys."
You're not so bad, I squeaked, even though I knew he wasn't so good either. The only way I have a chance of spending the night in Haunted Hollow is if a guy like Sam is in our group. He's so good at everything. We can't lose a game, he continued, and I really want to spend the night in Haunted Hollow. I wanted Garth and all of my friends, to get to spend the night in that scary surrounding place if that's what they wanted. I just wasn't sure I wanted to be there with them. Who is afraid of meeting up with the howler? Me. Note to self, beware of things that hoot and howl, especially at night.